Hello guys, today I would like to discuss two American airline companies. The first one is Delta Airlines and the second one is American Airlines Group. From Yahoo Finance we can see that Delta Airlines missed its first quarterly earning from last year, but it bet its second, third and fourth quarterly earning from last year. And the estimate for their first quarterly earning for this year is slightly greater than their quarterly earning estimate from last year. In terms of the share price, the company at the beginning of the pandemic was at 55.7 and now it's at 37.28. American Airlines bet their fourth quarterly earning from 2022. They met their first quarterly earning from last year. They bet their second and third quarterly earning from last year, and unfortunately their quarterly earning estimate, their fourth quarterly earning estimate, is lower than their previous fourth quarterly earning estimate. In terms of the share price, at the beginning of 2020 they were at 26.8 and now they're at 13.66. Moving on, let's now talk about their financial statements. The first financial statement I'd like to discuss is the Delta Airlines financial statement. From their consolidated statement of operations, we can see that there was a large increase in revenue. Revenue went from 17,000 to 50,582. This is very good news to us as investors. We can also see that their income rose from negative 12,000 to a positive 1,318. The company's cost of goods sold rose as well during this time by quite a bit. That being said, due to the nature of their business, it's only expected that their cost of goods sold would be high. It's good that even with such high costs, they managed to increase their income. From the consolidated statement of cash flows, we can see that operating activities rose from negative 3,793 to 6,363. The main reason for this change is the change in deferred revenue, accrued liabilities, in deferred income taxes, and in profit sharing, which went from negative 1,650 to a positive 455. Investing activities went from negative 9,238 to negative 6,924. The main reason for this change is the purchase of short-term investments. In 2020, the short-term investments were at negative 13,400 and it fell to negative 2,704 Interestingly, during the same time period, the company was also selling a large portion of their short-term investments. In 2020, the sale was at 7,608, and it went all the way up to 15,000 in 2021. In terms of financial activities, the company's financial activities were at 19,356 and fell to negative 4,535. The main reason it was so high in 2020 is because of the long-term proceeds, which were at 22,000. In the later years, this number drastically fell. During the same time period, the company was also paying out their long-term obligations. In 2020, it was at negative 8,559, and it fell to negative 4,475. Moving on, let us now talk about the company's balance sheet. The company's cash was at 3,266. The shorter term investments were at 3,268. Their non-current assets were very high during this time period at 72,288. This is to be expected due to the nature of the company, the market they operate in. You would expect a lot of long-term assets. The good thing about the company is that they have a lot of accounts payable and I call a lot of accrued liabilities, which are a positive thing. Their long-term liabilities were at 39,766 during this year. Last year they were higher. Again, they fell because the company, as I mentioned before, is paying out some of that long-term liability. Unfortunately, I think that the company's equity to income ratio isn't very good. The company has too many assets and liabilities, and even though they manage to increase their income, it's still not good enough. I think they still need to increase it more. In any case, let us now talk about American Airlines. Let's first talk about American Airlines Consolidated Statement of Operations. Now please remember that this is all in millions. The same goes with Delta Airlines. Everything there was in millions. In any case, from American Airlines operating statement, we can see that the company increased their revenue during this time period from 17,337 to 48,971. Here again, we can see that the company managed to increase their income from a very bad negative 8,885 to a positive 127. This is all good news for us as shareholders, but again, the company needs to increase their income further. Here again, they have the problem that cost of goods sold for them is high. Again, this is understandable due to the nature of their business, but hopefully management will manage to increase revenue and income in the future. Their operating activities went from negative 6,543 to positive 2,173. The main reason for this change is the change in deferred income tax provision, which went from negative 2,568 to a positive 65. Their investing activities went from negative 4,342 to a positive 636. The main reason for this change is due to the sales of short-term investments, which went from 2,800 all the way up to 14,972. The purchase of short-term investments was also high during this year. However, the sales were greater. In terms of financing activities, financial activity went from 10,994 to a negative 2,631. The main reason for this change is the decrease in proceeds from issuance of long-term debt, which went from 11,780 to only 1,069. During this time period, the company was also paying out their long-term debt. Long-term debt went from negative 3,000 payment of long-term debt went from negative 3,535 to negative 3,752. From the company's balance sheet, we can see that the company's current assets were at 15,269. Here again, they had a lot of long-term assets. Again, due to the nature of their business, one would expect them to have a lot of long-term assets, a lot of equipment, just like Delta Airlines. The company has a lot of accounts payable and accrued liabilities, which is a good thing. Their current liability ratio and current asset ratio is good. Their total non-current liabilities fell from 54,000 to 49,000. Again, as I mentioned before, they are paying back some of their long-term liabilities. Again, just like with Delta Airlines, their equity and income ratio is not so good. I'd like to see an increase in equity and in income. Again, they have too many assets and too many liabilities, and I would expect a higher income with so many assets and liabilities. In any case, let's now move on. I'm going to use Guru Finance in order to analyze the two companies further. Now, Guru Finance is currently available. You can get it on the App Store, and you can use it to analyze the company of your choosing. In the Analysis tab, you have to write the values which you can get from SEC for the consolidated statement of operations, the statement of cash flow, and the balance sheet. And then you can write the company's market capitalization and its currency. Afterwards, all you have to do is click the following button and an analysis pops up. In any case, let us now compare American Airlines to Delta Airlines. In the year 2022, Delta Airlines financial condition was the same as American Airlines finance condition. However, they did have slightly worse growth and a worse value than American Airlines in 2022. That being said, both companies have their growth value below the too risky line, which is concerning for me. Even though American Airlines had better value and slightly better growth, I still think both companies are not that profitable, and both companies have a lot of assets and liabilities, and they just don't have the equity nor the income to match those levels. Both of them make a lot of revenue, but a lot of it has to go to the costs involved in their activities, and I don't think there's a lot of income for shareholders to earn from them. If we look at their 2023 levels, for 2023 we can see that Delta Airlines finance condition got worse. However, now their growth is slightly better than American Airlines, and their value is still worse than American Airlines. Here again, I don't see a reason to invest. I think that both companies suffer from too many costs in order to actually be profitable to a small investor. I'm going to place American Airlines and Southwest in the careful section. Both companies have an alright finance condition. They have a good ratio between current assets and liabilities. That being said, I don't see much opportunities for them to grow, to increase the value of their company. Hopefully in the future they manage to increase their revenue and income further. However, again, it's doubtful due to the nature of the business they operate. In any case, that's all I have to say. In the next video, I'll talk about Delta Airlines. In the next video, I'll talk about Southwest and United Airlines. In any case, thank you for watching. See you next time.